Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Eddie Sutton Show. Since we last saw you, the Cowboys have been on a roll, winning 5 straight. The Cowboys now 8-1 on the year, and you have a 7-game win streak going, Coach. Some of them haven't been easy, but way to go.
Well, the last one wasn't easy at all down at Jacksonville the other night, but I'm pleased with the results. And I guess when you really analyze the schedule, we probably have been favored in all the games that we've won, and probably the underdog in the game at California. And so I am pleased with the progress we've made. In our last 3 outings against Southwest Missouri State, which we're going to be looking at some highlights in a few minutes, I thought the first half was probably the best half of basketball we played this year. And then in Tulsa, when we took on SMU, the second half, when we had to rally to defeat the Ponies, I thought that probably was the second 20-minute period this year where we played well. But I think all of our players are going to be happy that the holiday season's about over because we've been practicing twice a day, and school begins, of course, next Monday, second semester. But their attitude's been great, and as I told them earlier today, that we can throw out those records. We're 8-1, K-State's 7-2, and K-State is a much improved ball club, and they're the opening game of Big 8 play for us Saturday evening in Gallagher, Iowa, and everybody's 0-0. We're going to talk a little bit more about the intensity level and conference play maybe later in the show, but our ball club is still making a lot of mistakes, Dean, but it isn't because of lack of effort, because they really are trying to get better, and in some ways we have shown great improvement. We've just got to correct some of the carelessness in order to beat quality ball clubs.
Coach, let's take a look at the scoreboard. It seems like a long time ago that you laid it on Houston Baptist, but you wasn't that long ago, 93-54, and then laid it on Coach Iba, 65-47. Had to be a tough one for you.
Well, I don't like playing friends,
right.
And we went down to Fort Worth and beat Mo, but Mo probably has about as weak a talent as anyone we've had on our schedule in a while, and he's going to have a tough time, but it won't be for lack of effort on his part.
You mentioned the Southwest Missouri game. Let's go to highlights and check out the Cowboys playing at Gallagher Iba Arena, where your team is virtually unbeatable. 35 of 36 wins.
We had shot clock problems, and I told the officials, I said, with Southwest Missouri, because they're very ball control conscious, I said, if they get the opening tip and we don't have a clock, we may never get the ball. But they got it corrected, and there's the opening tip, and we ran a back screen, and Brooks Thompson got a layup to start things off. Good man-to-man pressure on their part. They're a good basketball team. They'll be a threat in the Missouri Valley Conference. Good lead pass into Bryant Reeves, and he converted. We were much bigger than their ball club, and we were able to power the ball inside to Bennett, to Reeves, to Burley, and that really was the big difference in the basketball game. Randy Rutherford continues to improve. In fact, from the time we began practice to right now, he's the most improved player in our squad.
Well, he's been red hot from the field. He finished the Jacksonville game missing 10 straight, but before that he has been red hot.
Well, he's shooting well over 50% from the field and is becoming a much better defender and just a good all-around basketball player. Nice pass from Brooks Thompson over to Scott Sutton, and he hit Vaughn Bennett underneath for the easy 2.
Vaughn Bennett shooting 63%, averaging 12.3, and really has played well lately himself.
He has played well. In this game we shot 58%. We out-rebounded them 42-18, and that's been a real key for us this year. We've rebounded the ball much better than I thought we would. Nice shot by Terry Collins, number 32.
Team's field goal percentage is outstanding. In the top 10 nationally, shooting 53%. Coach, you've outshot your opponent every game.
Well, there's a reason for that. If you get the ball near the basket, the percentage of the shot goes up, and we've been able to do it right. Here's a good example. And then when the defense converges, then you can kick the ball back out, and you can hit that outside shot. If you're facing up to the basket from the perimeter, the shot's much easier. And here you see we go inside to Vaughn Bennett, nice turnaround shot. Our 2 big guys led us in this ball game. Vaughn had 12 points, Reeves had 17, Randy 11. And Brooks Thompson 12. Good balanced scoring.
Cowboys win this one, the final in Stillwater, 74-59. And you mentioned the time off. Did your team improve the way you had hoped it would, because you have a young club and you felt this would be a critical stretch of the season for you?
We have gotten better, but it's one of those situations where you wish you had some more time before you got into Big 8 play. But in some areas, I think defensively we've improved. Offensively, our shot selection's better maybe than it was earlier in the year, and I think the biggest thing is our ball handling. We've got to eliminate all the careless turnovers. We're averaging, I think, 17, 18 turnovers a ball game, and at least half of them are unforced errors, just mistakes on our part, not the fault of great defensive play on the part of the other team.
We'll take a timeout. Stay with us as the Eddie Sutton Show continues after this. Welcome back to the Eddie Sutton Show. On January 2nd, you took your team over to Tulsa. I know you've enjoyed playing over in the Mabee Center to take on the SMU Ponies.
SMU changed their style of play a little bit this year. They were averaging 98 points a game last year. They played more deliberate, and in this ball game, they came out smoking. They missed that shot, but we got down 11 points in the early going, and our defense really wasn't that bad. It was just a matter they hit some great shots. In the second half, our defense got much better, and we were able to break away from them, and we held them to 59 points where they had been averaging 98. Fred Burley continues to improve, and I think it's a real key whether our ball club is going to do well in the Big 8 play. I think he has to continue to improve.
You threw out a statistic earlier off the air about Fred Burley, minutes to free throws. 145 minutes he's played this season and shot 44 free throws. The man gets to the line.
He's a scorer, and he has that ability of putting himself in a position where he forces the defense to foul him, and he just got to become a better free throw shooter because right now he's only hitting a little over 60% from the free throw line.
How was your team's defensive performance in Tulsa? How do you assess that?
Well, the first half I didn't think it was very good, and we trailed 36-32, although they only shot 39% from the field. But in the second 20-minute period, they only shot 27%, and we held them to 23 points, and that was really the big key in the ball game. Nice basket by Bryant Reeves. He's our leading scorer for the season and leading rebounder, and his goal every ball game is get a double-double. That means scoring double figures and get double figures at the off the board.
Well, he's doing a good job of that. He's second in the league in scoring at 18.8 points per game. Leads the Big 8 in rebounding at over 10 per ball game.
Well, in this game, he had an all-time high for him, 17 rebounds. Yeah. He also had 16 points, and there's Brooke Thompson putting one up, and there's Bryant getting a rebound and a bucket. Brooks had 20 points. Rutherford had 17. Fred Burley had 11 off the bench. So, again, good balanced scoring.
Yeah, you're spreading it around, Coach. You have 4 in double figures, and I'm sure you would prefer to see that, would you not?
Well, I'd like to have 6 or 7 guys spread it out a little bit more. We got to get better scoring off our bench. We really haven't been getting very much off the bench other than from Fred Burley. Good crowd. I think we had around 6,500 in Mabee Center on January 2nd. That's pretty good.
75-59, Cowboys win it in Stillwater or in Tulsa over SMU. And I know you'd like to end up heading to Oklahoma City sometime to play.
We have been treated very well over in Tulsa, and I struck up a deal with Oral Roberts University, and they've been kind enough to rent the facility to us at a very minimum amount of money. We hope in the future to continue to play at least one game over there. We played Cal Berkeley there last season. We still have one game left to play over there this year. We play Oral Roberts University. And for any of our fans that might be watching, they need to buy their tickets from us because we have 5,000 tickets. They have 5,000. Whatever they sell, they get the revenue. Whatever we sell, we get the revenue. So there are some tickets available for that game on January the 21st. And I hope in time we can go to Oklahoma City and play a game because we have a lot of great fans down there, and we've had a lot of them ask us if we're going to take our team to Tulsa, why don't we come to Oklahoma City? And that's in our plans.
Coach, we talked a moment ago about spreading the wealth offensively and scoring. You also have played a lot of players. You have 9 players averaging in double digits in minutes played, no one averaging over 30 minutes. Is that what you want to see, or will that change as we get closer to Big 8 play?
Well, I think you would like to see that to continue. We would like to have good depth off the bench, people like Manzer and we mentioned Burley, Scott Sutton, Earl Jones. All those guys have contributed. We'd like to see them score a little more than what they've been doing. I hope that trend will continue, although sometimes when you get into conference play, you end up maybe not playing as many people and really the top players ended up playing more minutes.
All right, lots more to come on the Eddie Sutton Show as we look ahead to Kansas State as the Big 8 opens here in Stillwater on Saturday. Stay with us. Our plays of the week are actually three-pointers against Southern Methodist, Coach.
Well, the three-point play has been good for basketball, and we probably don't take advantage of it as much as some teams, but in this ball game it certainly was one of the keys in our turning the game around. You saw Rutherford hit one just before this, and that's Brooke Thompson hitting one, and here's Brooks driving into the area here. Top of the circle, another three, and those three baskets were very instrumental in our win.
How do you evaluate your team's three-point potential?
Well, like I said, we're not shooting a three-point shot as much as I would like. We're shooting a little over 40% from three-point range, and Rutherford and Thompson are the best. Randy Rutherford, a very unusual statistic. We were talking about this between breaks, shooting 51.4 overall from the field and 51.4 from the three-point range. The very same percentage. Over half of his baskets, over half his shots have come from three-point range. I would like to see some of our other players take advantage of that, but we really haven't done that. When you look at the number of three-point shots we've taken versus how many SMU's taken, for instance, it's very small. And the only problem with that, some nights you don't shoot the ball very well, and you can die by that three-point shot. And that's what happened to SMU after they had played us. In the second half, they went cold. They played Arkansas 2 days later, and they were really in the ball game. And with about 7 minutes to go in that game, it was a 6-point game, and SMU missed the last 24 shots of the game. So that can happen to you sometimes when you don't get anything in around the basket.
We'll take a brief but important 30-second break. Stay with us. Coach's Corner after this. On Coach's Corner, we talk defense against Southern Methodist.
We talked about the three-point shot earlier helping to win the game, but it was really our defense in the second half. And you can see a lot more pressure on the ball, good containment on the part of Brooks Thompson. That's where defense begins, on the basketball. Good challenge of the shot. And now let's see if we screen off. Good job on the boards. Here again, tries to drive, no place to go, containment. We're always saying contain the basketball. Don't let them break your defense down. Pressure on the ball, overplay one pass away, help side defense. When you're covering somebody more than one pass away, you sink to the lane area. And like I said, don't give them but one shot every time they cross the midcourt line. If you do that, you got a chance to win.
And you see when the defensive pressure results in a turnover, that's when it becomes fun, and that's when all the hard work pays off.
Well, that's what you try to convince all young men. They don't understand that sometimes that's a blue-collar work. And I think defense, oftentimes we think of people playing defense to just score in low numbers, but that's not the way defense is measured. You measure defense by the number of points you score versus how many you give up. Our goal each time is to try to score over 80 points, hold our opponent somewhere in the mid-60s.
Big 8 play set to kick off. Cowboys hosting Kansas State. We'll take a look at the Big 8 and Oklahoma State and Kansas State after this. Welcome back to the show. Did you know Eddie Sutton seeking win number 491 on Saturday night? Bobby Knight and Norm Stewart got 600. You're chasing them, Coach. They're going to get tough now.
I'm not sure I'm ever going to catch Bobby or Norm because they've been coaching a little bit longer than I have, but congratulations to both of them, both great coaches, and it doesn't seem possible that I've been coaching Division I basketball that long.
That's a lot of wins. They get tough now because Big 8 play right around the corner, and you mentioned have to turn it up a notch.
I don't think young players quite understand the difference between playing non-conference opponents and playing within your league. We'll find out Saturday night, or they'll find out. We've been talking about that all week long, and to our new guys and say, fellas, believe me, you'll find out the intensity on the part of the other team. You'll find out the intensity on the part of fans. Fans get excited, right. And you throw those records out the window. K-State's got one of the best preseason records. They've only lost 2 games. They've won 7. In their last 2 outings have been very impressive in wins over Santa Barbara in California, which is a very tough place to go and come out on top. And then they beat LaSalle 20 the other night, a game that Tim Jankovic scouted for us. But records mean nothing. And I'm excited about starting Big 8 play. I hope our team is excited. I hope all of our fans that have season tickets will show up Saturday night because we certainly need them to play the part of the 6th man.
Interesting that Tim Jankovic, one of your assistants, his wife is Jack Hartman's daughter, the former coach up at Kansas State. Let's look at the statistics or the rankings in the Big 8 Conference. I'm trying to say the standings. That's what it actually is, Coach. 78% winners in Big 8 play. Kansas on top, not playing as well as maybe they had hoped, but still 9-1. Oklahoma State 8-1. Oklahoma 10-2, a very impressive loss at Duke. Missouri barely a winner in overtime last night, 7-2.
Well, Kansas, you mentioned, might not be playing as well, but they're still one of the elite teams in the country. They got a legitimate shot at winning the national championship. They've had some injuries in the early going, but a big matchup next Monday night down in Norman between the two. Kansas is a favorite, and I think OU is second in preseason, so that's an early season matchup. K-State, we already mentioned them. Nebraska went on the road and lost 3 games. They won everything at home, but they have one of the most talented teams in our league. Iowa State's probably played the toughest schedule, and they're 8-3. Colorado's 5-4, but going to be a great Big 8 race. You know, the Big 8 is a league that I don't think I appreciated how tough it was until I became part of the family 3 years ago. I'd coached in the Southwest Conference and the SEC. The Big 8 is the toughest league I've ever coached in. All conferences have 1, 2, 3 teams that can play anywhere. The Big 8, the way you evaluate a team, in my opinion, or a conference, is the bottom half of the conference.
Right.
And even when you play the teams at the bottom half of the Big 8, they are tough. It is one of the 3 or 4 toughest leagues in college basketball.
Dana Altman's club has won 2 games on the road already this season. You mentioned those wins, and last year they only won 2 games, so they'll be a team looking to upset the Cowboys on Saturday. What will you need to do to win the Big 8 opener on Saturday?
Well, Kansas State is a much better team than they were a year ago. They're much sounder in their approach defensively and offensively. Last year we opened Big 8 play with them, and we had the great defense working for us, and we held them to 11 points in the first half and ended up beating them 25 or 30 points. It won't be that way Saturday night. We don't have that defensive pressure that we had last season. I think the keys in the ball game will be, because of our size advantage, we've got to power the ball into our big guys, force Kansas State to cover that. We've been out rebounding our opponents. We've got to continue to dominate the boards, and we've got to minimize the number of turnovers we make. Their defense is quick. They're going to go out and try to press us. They're going to try to put pressure on our ball handlers, force us into turnovers, and we've got to be able to handle that pressure and do so without making too many miscues.
A remarkable rebounding margin, 18.5 the last 4 games. You rank second nationally. You're going to win a lot of games when you have those kinds of numbers.
If you can dominate the boards like we've been doing, you got a great chance. Even when you're not having a good shooting night, you get a lot of offensive rebounds and gives you a second opportunity. Big 8 play will not allow us to dominate the boards like that.
Coach, under a minute to talk about the 3-point rule. We talked about 3-point shooting a while ago. That changes the coaching, the way you prepare a team.
The 3-point shot has really been good for high school and college basketball. If you can shoot 33.33% beyond the 3-point line, you score the same number of field goals as if you would shoot 50% inside the line. We've only shot 94 threes this year. Our opponents have shot 197, I believe, and that's why I said earlier in the show, I hope that we can start shooting more threes, because it's a real weapon, and yet there has to be a balance. You have to have good inside play offensively. You have to have good perimeter shooting.
All right, Coach, thanks. Good luck on Saturday.
Thank you, Dean.
For the coach, I'm Dean Blevins. Thanks for watching the Eddie Sutton Show.